Hi everybody, back with another video. This one is going to be for maybe the younger crowd or people who have never tried to draw before, or all of you people out there that say, oh, I can't even draw a stick figure, or I can't even draw a straight line with the ruler, things like that. Everybody is an artist. Everybody can be an artist. It just takes a little bit of practice, and it just takes a little bit of knowledge. And the knowledge that I'm going to share with you today is about shapes and how we build our drawings one shape at a time. What do you mean by that, Miss Fink? What do you mean how we build our drawings? Well, drawings really start out with just shapes, okay? You got your basic shapes like circles. Circles can be all kinds of different sizes, right? Triangles can be all kinds of different sizes, and they can point different directions and have one side longer than another side, and one side could be really super long and the other sides could be really kind of short. Our ovals look like kind of like potatoes or squashed soccer ball type shapes, things like that. Let's not forget our squares, okay? A square means you've got a shape that has 4 sides. And for it to be a real square, a true square, those 4 sides are all the same length, okay? What is related to a square? What's a shape that's kind of like a square, but it's a little bit longer? Can you think of that word? That's exactly right. It's a rectangle. All right? So our rectangles, we got 2 sides that can be really long, and then the other 2 sides can be kind of short like that, right? So if you know these 5 basic shapes, plus you know what a line is. A line, these are all lines right here. I just drew a whole bunch of lines to make those letters, didn't I? All these letters are made out of lines. All these shapes are made out of lines. That's a line that I drew around in a circle like that. There's 3 lines that I drew right here. There's a line that I drew around in a long kind of circle, like a doggy ear, right? That's an oval. I drew 4 lines there. I drew 4 lines there. If you know that there are some lines that are straight, some that are curvy, some that are curly Q, kind of loopy lines like that. And if you know about the zigzag lines, can be ziggy and very zaggy, and sometimes super ziggy zaggy. What about the lines that are dashed kind of lines or dotted kind of lines, right? When you see little bees flying in books, and the bee goes meow, and he goes around in a circle, and then he flies up. It's still a line. It's just a bunch of dots that make that line, right? So if you already know about lines, and you already know these 5 shapes here, then guess what? You can build drawings with just those shapes, all right? What we're going to do today is we're going to draw a little baby flying dinosaur. He's a brand new baby dinosaur. He's just now learning to fly, but we can draw this baby with using our shapes that we already know, okay? The first thing you need to do is get your pencil and paper, but we're going to hold our pencil really super light and super easy, and we're not going to draw super hard on our paper, all right? I'm going to hold my pencil way back here. When you hold your pencil way back here and you barely put it on the paper, You barely, we're not pressing down hardly at all. We're just making these shapes with our pencil, okay? The first shape we're going to make is this circle right here. Alright? And you see my paper is up and down like this. And I'm kind of near the top of the paper, but not at the top. I'm near the top. And I'm closer to this side over here, our right side, where our right hand is. I'm closer to that side over here. I'm not really in the middle. If I was in the middle of the paper, I'd be about there. And if I was on the left side of the paper, where my left hand is, I'd be about right here, okay? But I'm on the right side over here, and I'm going to kind of draw, and I'm going to go around and around like that, just barely making a sketch, so that if I want to erase it with my eraser, I can go like that, super easy, and erase it, no problem. Okay, I'm going to sketch that back in real quick, real quiet, super quiet. I'm not pressing down on my paper. If I press down really, really hard on my paper and draw like that, you already know that's super hard to erase. I can press down and press down and press down, but my marks are still going to be there, aren't they? But if I hold my pencil way back here and I go super quiet, super quiet, super quiet, and I barely press down, then if I take my eraser, guess what? I don't even have to work at that at all, and I've erased the whole thing and you can't see where it was anymore. Okay? So that's what I'm doing here. So I've got a pretty big kind of a circle here, and then kind of right on top of it, and I'm still holding my pencil way back here. All of this is going to be super light, super ninja quiet, drawing our shapes, okay? And I'm going around and around and around my oval just so I can make it dark enough so I can see it. And see, my oval went over top of my circle. I've only got part of my oval sticking out here on this side, and the other part of it went inside my circle. Okay? Next, for my little dragon's body, it's kind of like a circle here. It's really kind of like an oval or a circle, right? So I'm going to draw kind of I'm going to make it kind of an oval shape. Big. I'm going to go around a few times so I can see it, but I'm still holding my pencil back here. I'm not pressing down. I'm just barely letting my pencil mark on the paper like that. Super light, okay? Super light. And you're like, well, Miss Fink, that doesn't look like that little dragon. Well, he will, because what we're doing is we're building our little dragon with our basic shapes that we already know, okay? So for the dragon's little leg, that little shape right there looks kind of like an oval to me. So if I draw an oval kind of right here, that's the shape of his leg, right? And he's got a little arm that also looks like an oval. So I'm going to put a little oval about right there, around and around till it's dark enough for me to see it. Still holding my pencil back here, don't forget. Okay? And his little wings look almost like triangles. Do you see that triangle kind of shape there? So I'm going to draw a triangle right here. I'm going to draw one side, two sides, three sides, like that. And that's going to represent his wing up here. It doesn't look super pointy like my triangle. It's got kind of a rounded end on it, doesn't it? But that's okay. When I do my real drawing, I'll show you. We'll make that rounded instead of pointy, because right now we're just starting out with our basic shapes. Alright? He's also got a triangle kind of point on his tail back here, doesn't he? So I'm going to draw kind of a triangle like this. Make myself a triangle on the end of my little baby dragon's body back here, okay? And now I've got all the basic shapes. When we talk about details, what does that mean when I talk about something that's a detail of your drawing? Details are these tiny little things, the tiny little finishing touches. Like we didn't draw his eye over here, we didn't draw his little nose hole, we didn't draw his little mouth or his teeth, we didn't put his cheek in there, we didn't put his little puff of smoke. He's trying to learn how to breathe fire, right? So he's got a little puff of smoke coming out, but he's still happy. He's flying along, he's happy, he's living his best life, right? We didn't draw his little tiny fingers, we didn't put his little toes on the ends here, and we didn't draw the triangles on the top of his head and the top of his back. But those are what we call details, okay? We'll fill in our details later. Right now, we've got our basic shapes down for our little baby dragon, and now we're going to go around. You can use a pencil to do this. I'm going to use a Sharpie so that you guys can see what I'm doing. You can go around the outside edges of your basic shapes. If you're trying to draw something that you're looking at like this, if you're looking at another drawing, or if you're looking at something out in nature, or something that just you can see anywhere, you can draw anything that you see if you start out with these with some basic shapes, okay? So let me get my other paper out from under here because I drew on my dragon a little bit. So I started out with my basic shapes, and then I'm going to go around my basic shapes until I end up with my drawing, okay? So my basic shapes, I've got the top of his little head goes like this. I'm going to follow my circle around, okay? But then his little nose sticks out. I'm not going to make mine stick out quite as far as I've got that oval there. But then he's got that line ends right there. Do you see that? And then it curves around a little bit. So I'm going to make it end right there. I'm going to make it curve around a little bit, kind of like that. But then he's got his little chin sticking down too, where that oval was sticking out of our circle. So okay, there's his chin, no problem. But then that line goes down around, makes his belly, and stops right there at his leg. That's why we've got this circle right here. We can make our line go from our chin down, 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 follow that circle around, and stop right there where his leg starts, right? His leg, there's a line on this side and a line on this side, but you see how I'm following the lines, the shape of that oval that I drew? Do you see that? And then I can just add his little, a wiggly, 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 like that for his 3 little toes that stick out down there. Now he's got another leg back here on the other side of his body. So I can just go like this, make a curved line coming down. And it's going to be, since it's on the other side of his body and it's farther away, that means it's going to be smaller, right? Even though in real life, his 2 legs are the same size, we don't see that as being the exact same size because it's farther away. So that makes it look smaller to us. So I'm just going to put that curve line there and a couple little wiggles to make his little toes on the other side of his body. Okay? Going back up here to his neck, do you see how this line comes down and it goes curve and it makes a U shape like that? Then it goes out here to the triangle kind of shape of his wings. Alright? Well, here's the triangle shape that I drew for my wings. So I can make this come around like this and go curve and make that go up and meet that line where his head is. Okay? And even though I've got a pointy triangle here, this is not pointy. That goes kind of curve. And then there's a curve on the end. And then there's some wavy kind of lines going on there, or a wavy line. And it comes back down like that. So I'm going to try to do that same thing. I'm going to go curve. I'm going to make it come around. But I'm still going to stay near my triangle shape. See that? Like that. See my little triangle inside there still? I didn't make it as pointy. See, my point is sticking out way over there. But it's still a triangular kind of a shape. Okay? He's got his other wing back behind there from the wing from the other side of his body. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to make a curve kind of thing. I'm going to make it come down on the other side. So now he's got his two wings. Okay? What about the rest of his body that comes out to a point and then comes back? Do you see how my oval kind of shape there and my triangle shape already give you a really good hint on how to draw that? You see that? I went right down my oval shape, but then I went and curved out on top of my triangle. And it's not super pointy at the end of his tail. It's kind of rounded, but it comes right back and kind of comes around where we drew that triangle. And guess what? It's going to come right back around here where our oval is and hook on to his body like that. Okay? Guess what? We just did almost every single major part of his body except his little arm right here. And his little arm is just a curved line and a curved line. And then he's got 1, 2, 3. Like 3 little squiggles there for his little fingers or for his little hand, right? Now we can fill in our details because we've got our whole entire outside shape that we built from our shapes that we know from every single day, right? We've got a little rainbow line like that for his eye. And you can put eyelashes here if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to. We've got another oval, a small oval for his cheek, right? We've got a little tiny oval right there for his nose. And then we've got some triangles. I'm going to put 3 triangles on this one for our baby dragon's teeth. We've got 2 teeth over here. I put 3 on this one. And you can put a little curved line right there for his little smile. And then we've got some triangles on the top of his head. 1, 2, 3. Let's put 4 on there. I'm going to put 4 on this one. 4. See, you can make your dragon any way you want because it's your drawing. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles back here. So I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put 1, 2, but I'm going to make them a little bit smaller and smaller. 3 smaller, and this one even smaller. 4. See? 1, 2, 3, 4. But they started out kind of big, but then they got a little bit smaller. Okay? And then the last thing I have to do before I color it is draw his little puff of smoke sticking out there. So I've got 2 lines. Remember how we talked about our lines? 2 lines sticking out like that. And then curved lines or little rainbow lines. I've got 1, 2, 3. It's going to look almost like a little piece of popcorn, right? It's how you can draw a cloud, or a little puff of smoke, or a little piece of popcorn, right? So I got a bunch of rainbow lines that I hooked together, and then I'm going to put about 3 more inside my little smoke shape or popcorn kind of shape, right? And then before we color it, we have to erase our super awesome Ninja Quiet lines that we drew. And if we draw them super awesome Ninja Quiet and very, very soft on our paper, guess what? It's not very hard to erase. See that? Does that look like I'm trying really, really hard to erase? Or does it look like it's pretty easy to erase? Pretty easy, right? So I've got very, very light lines that I drew to begin with, and that way I don't have hardly any trouble whatsoever erasing those lines, making sure that I don't have any pencil lines on my drawing before I color it. And then all I have to do is pick out my colors. I can have a pink dragon with purple little spikes on its head and tail. I can have yellow with blue. I can have rainbow spikes. I can have a black dragon with pink spikes. I can do whatever I want, right? Because it's my drawing and I can color it however I want. So one last thing that I wanted to ask you guys about before we end the video. When you're drawing with your shapes, okay, when we build our drawings with our 5 shapes that we already know, our circle, our triangle, our oval, our square, or our rectangle, and we're using lines to do all this, how would you draw a tree? How would you draw a tree using basic shapes? Don't forget, we got to pick out a shape, or 1 or 2 or 3. Sometimes it would be all 5. How would you use these shapes to draw a tree? Right? You could use a rectangle to draw the trunk, and then you could use circles to draw the leaf part of the tree, right? Different circles like this, but draw super light, and then when you join it all together on the outside, your tree would look like that, and you wouldn't have all these lines on the inside, right? What about a car? What kind of shapes would you use to draw a car or a truck? You'd have to have some rectangles and squares in there, right? And then you'd have to have some circles for the tires, right? Maybe some triangles for the windows on the sides of the doors, and then more squares or rectangles for the other windows, right? Think about all that kind of stuff. What about a dog? What kind of shapes would you need to draw a dog? What if you started with the dog's body? Would you use a rectangle, or would you use like an oval? That's really up to you, right? However you want to draw this dog. His little ears could be ovals or triangles, right? His nose could be kind of like a triangle. His eyes, you'd have to use some circles there, right? What about a house? A house, well, you're definitely going to be using like rectangles and squares. Definitely going to be using some triangles, right, for the roof part, right? Squares or rectangles for the windows, doors. What about the yard? What about, you could put trees in the yard of your house drawing, right? So you can draw anything you want using these basic shapes. Okay? Do some drawings for me. Send me an email with pictures of your drawings that you guys have created using your 5 basic shapes and some little lines here and there. Okay? Thank you so much for spending time with me. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you learned something today. Have fun. Be safe, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much.